Hi there guys and welcome to another Train Sim 2019 video. Today we are doing a scenario that is done by Rob Skip. Thomas Harrison streamed this the other day. I recently watched that back, and Chris Horsfield's also streamed this as well. It's a scenario by Vulcan Productions, Rob Skip, and it is covering a rail tour which I think was for a children's cancer charity, if I remember correctly. It's a run from Waterloo down to Poole, but of course we'll be going as far as Cosham today, but we'll read the blurb and we will get going. Morning driver, welcome aboard 442-415 here at Waterloo, platform 10. You'll be driving this tour as far as Cosham, and we're due to depart at 0903, so release the doors and get everything ready in the cab. Today there is engineering works on here at Waterloo to replace 2 sets of points, International Junction on the station Trope. Due to this, there is a limited service on the Windsor line, and platforms 12 to 24 are closed. Okay, let's get in and set up this bad boy. Bit of brake snort there to get us going. So park and brake off. Let's get headlights on. Let's get some instrument lights on. Cool, let's get doors open. Let's get that up to full. Switch that over to EP. What else do I need to do on this? EP brake is on. Doors are open. GSMR doesn't need setting up. There isn't anything to do with the destination because it won't have. I can never remember how to work this one. I think it is just up and down, isn't it? There's no other controls on it. Does have a special? No, let's just have not in service then. Even though we are, but it's a rail tour, so it's different. Kept the DRA on for now. This is a non-stop run down to Cosham. So what I have done is dug out my train crew handbook for South West trains. It's a bit retro, this one. I think it was 1998, if I remember rightly. But it does cover the 442s. Yep, issue 1, February 1998. So it's a bit old. But 442s are 442s. This covers all the units and all the different tractions, so we'll read through bits. It will cover some of the bits of the slammers, even got bits for 73s and stuff in here, so it's an interesting read. This one isn't actually mine. I don't actually own this one, so I don't get to read it that often. And it will have to go back once it's been sorted. Right, we have a green now, that's good. Let's get DRA off. Let's hope I've set everything up right. I feel like I haven't set something up properly. EP brake done. Yeah, we're good. So let's see what we've got about. We've got 455s pulling out there. 159s. Matey boy drinking his coffee. All right, mate. Platform duties are complete. To close the doors. Blue blinds on the 455s. I really do like them because actually here, and you would have seen at the back of my door, I have 455 blinds, destination blinds actually in the shed. $15 limit departing Waterloo. Oh, 70. Wondered where this was going to make an appearance. It was in the requirements list. I'm actually becoming more and more of a fan of a 70. They're just something that are piquing my interest at the minute. suppose we should really go and have a look at what's going on over there. Oh yeah, I love the little bits. Just it's not even masses, is it? It's just put some orange men around, but it does add to the scenario. Tell you what, though, that would make a very cool screenshot. Nice. Let's get it down a tree. And then up to 50. Once I get out the onto the main line doing a good speed, I'll start with the manual stuff. It's been a while since I've done a manually read through thing, which will be interesting. Just turn you off. Yeah, super masses of interruptions yesterday. I tried recording yesterday and had 3 videos I think I lost altogether. Due to various interruptions and scenarios breaking as well, which was not good. Got to watch my constant speeding. There's a guy on UKTS on one of the forums that, what did he say? I just want to hit him over the head with his constant speeding. So, cool, like that, like that. I don't ever claim to be a professional driver in any way, shape or form. Ever. Ever. And I'll be honest with you, I probably drive better in videos than I do on stream. Tell you that for nothing. Just a quick word of note, I do have a raging chest infection at the moment, so I'm coughing like a trooper. You will see me flip the mic up as quick as I can. I'll try not to cough for you, but it's inevitable at some point. I will have to. But antibiotics have kicked in, which is lovely. I've already noticed the last couple of days it clearing a bit, which is super joyful. It is nice to get the 442 out and stretch its legs, I won't lie. I've turned the sound right up on the desktop volume as well because the train itself is relatively quiet. I mean, not when I go exterior and stuff, but that's going to be loud. Let me go back there. No, I'm going to fiddle with the sound a little bit more until I get a balance that I am happy with. Hello? Yeah, okay, we'll go back there. The last thing I want to do is a full run of this and realise that the sounds are far too loud on the train and nobody can hear what I've been rambling on about for hours. Not that I'm sure that many of you pay attention to it. Ooh, bit of a frame rate dip here. I suppose it will be Clapton Junction, to be fair. Oh, so what is floating on that? I've made sure everything is in and Geo's all copied. Might be that bloody Southwest Trains cracker from TSD that does my head in. I've had issues with it before, and the actual Cummins pack, the Armstrong Powerhouse one. For some reason, it just, even with the geos in, it didn't show in my last install either. It's quite strange. I think there seems to be, I'm going to say it's not just my install, because I've noticed somebody else with the same issue. And maybe you guys can help. Sound-wise, so what happened was I had an issue with the 387. Albi's won the Great Northern livery. And what it would happen was that it would just show up like it didn't have any geos in. Even though they were in there. At one point I just had the driving trailers and I didn't have any of the intermediates. They would show up in the editor, but not in the game. Like actually when you were playing the scenario, they just wouldn't show up. Like they'd be in the editor, you click play, they wouldn't be there. Now to me that screams a sound issue, and I thought this is weird. And somehow I managed to fix it with the 387. Don't ask me how. I even had Mr. Clowes remotely into my PC doing a bit of team viewer just to see if he could work out what was going on. He couldn't either. It sorted itself out. Can't even remember how we did it. But then a guy called Kyle had the same issue with Chris's 455 pack. So I don't know what it is, and I think that is what is happening with that 159 as well, or 158. I think it is the same thing. It's very odd. But everybody else spoken to this on the scenarios raved about it, so I thought it definitely deserved a video. Definitely. So pull up F1. You've just been turned down. It's still not the smoothest of performing routes for me. It really isn't. There's no reason why either. Some tube stock going on as well, nice. I need to check whether this is using the EP or not for the 450s and 444s. I'd guess it would be. I do seem to be getting a drop when they're around. Right, let's have a look at DC electric traction current loading. So the number of electric locomotives or electric multiple units working under DC electric power and any train or movement must be limited to avoid excessive traction current being drawn. A conductor rail current index number is allocated to locomotive 73109 and multiple units as shown below. Unless specifically authorised, the total of the number of all locomotives and EMUs working under DC electric power in a train or movement, whether or not in multiple, must not exceed 16, or a lesser figure for the route shown in the rail track section appendix. So basically what that is saying is that you can't have so many trains in one section of track. Regardless of signalling, it's about the power draw. This was also an issue that happens with 25 kilovolt overhead lines as well. I think it's slightly better with overhead lines than it is with third rail. So a 73 has an index number of 8, a 442 has an index number of 7, a 4-car EMU, so this will be like slam door sock 400 series, has index of 4, a 3-car has an index of 4, 2-car 930 de-icer and sandite has an index of 4, a 2-car EMU has an index of 2, 489, which is the Gatwick Express, the luggage vans, 2 of those, a single car former 419, so the MLVs are 2. So there you go, so you can get up to 16 is what they're saying on this. So multiple working of trains. Multiple units, also certain locomotives and other vehicles, are equipped with control jumper cables and sockets to permit multiple working as a set. These are listed in the following instructions. When any of the units, locomotives and vehicles concerned are coupled together, or where there is necessary for any reason to couple 2 trains together, if the control jumpers are connected, they must be considered as one train. Only one master controller key must be in use. So of course master controller keys, and I'm speeding, are these things here. And the southern, I think they're also known as EP keys as well. You'd have 2 main keys for a train. You've got your master controller key, and does this have one? I think it might be the guard that would put that in, I'm not sure. You get a BR1 key as well, which is about door control and being guard or driver controlled. So EMUs are classified in groups for electrical coupling purposes, and these are as followed. So in Group D, you have the standard de-icer units. Group E, you have 411s, 412s, 419s, 421s, 422s, 423s. And then there's an appendix here that says a 3-car modified SIG unit used by other train operators. So that is the 46/3 or the COP or the COP. I don't know what that one is, to be honest with you. Units in Group E are referred to as Class 400 series EMUs. Units in Groups D and E may work together, except in the case of shunt movements or when assisting. At least 50% of the traction motor coaches must be of Group E stock. For this purpose, each motor coach of Class 421, ASIG, COP or COP, or 442 or 4 bigs or 4 VEPs must be counted as 2 coaches. Okay, well that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Class 442 units. Class 442 units may also work in multiple with a Class 400 series EMU or locomotive 73109 for empty stock movements or for assistance purposes, subject to loading conditions. Drivers are reminded of the requirements to operate end of unit button on the Class 442 in the cab adjacent to the Class 400 series EMU or locomotive 73109. Okay. Unless a Class 442 has been fitted with a parking brake release push button enabling full push and pull working, Class 442s may only be hauled by Class 73109 except to clear the line or for shunting. So this one would be fine because we have the release push button there. So it says here, note, only electric power available on locomotive 73109, other class 73/1s or 73/2s, no changeover to diesel power. And note B is only electric power available on MLVs, no change over to battery power. Okay. Speed of trains. The maximum permissible speed of South West Trains traction units is as follows. Group D, and we're doing 91, and we shouldn't be. Units, class 455, 75 mile an hour. Group E units, class 159, 90 miles per hour. 442, 100 miles per hour. And 73 is 90 mile an hour. Come on, start climbing speed-wise. Nope. You're going to need to... There we go. Note, other class 73/1s or 73/2 locomotives may be restricted to a lower maximum speed. Drivers must ensure they check the maximum speed of these locomotives before starting any journey. Carriage washing machines. Woo! And these aren't trains with washing machines in them. These are for washing the exterior of coaches. Movements through carriage washing machines must not exceed walking pace. All windows must be closed before washing. Drivers must ensure windows are closed prior to departure from a station where the train is going to a train care depot or servicing point where it will pass through a carriage washing machine. You'd have pretty wet seats if you didn't, wouldn't you? Automatic air and electropneumatic brakes. So these are what I was fiddling with earlier, and what we're running on is the EP brake at the minute. The electropneumatic brake must normally be used. The automatic air brake only to be used when working empty coaching stock trains other than for short distance movements between stations and sidings, to give practice with that brake. Additionally, the automatic air brake may be used on trains being used for training under instruction of a green cab pass holder or driving instructor. A train must not enter service from a maintenance depot if the electropneumatic brake is inoperative. If the electropneumatic brake becomes inoperative in service, the automatic air brake must be used and the train may continue in service until the unit can be replaced or the fault rectified without causing delay or cancellation. When the driver is relieved on a train that is not equipped throughout with the electropneumatic brake or on which electropneumatic brake is inoperative, the driver must advise the relieving driver that the automatic air brake must be used. Note, during conditions known as low adhesion, if the electropneumatic brake becomes defective, the unit should be taken out of service immediately. There you go. Just get this 4 mile an hour up. Relatively flat anyway. The electropneumatic brake controls the supply of compressed air from the main reservoir pipe to the brake cylinders on each vehicle independently of the automatic air brake. It can only be applied and released by the driver's brake valve at the driving position where the master key switch is in use. The brake pipe pressure, normally 70 pounds per square inch, 4.8 bar or 72.5 psi 5 bar when locomotive 73109 or a 442 is formed at the front. The pressure in the brake pipe is reduced to apply the automatic air brake. The brake pressure can be reduced, causing an automatic brake application to be made by the driver's valve controller, by the emergency cock in the guards compartment, by the passenger communications equipment, automatically by the driver safety device, automatically by the AWS system, automatically by accidental train division or defect causing escape of air from brake pipes, operation of the egress system on the 442, by the vigilance device on the 442, by operation of speed sensing feature, so the SSF. The main reservoir pipe connects the main reservoirs on each vehicle on class 400 units, and the main reservoir is normally maintained at pressure between 90 and 100 psi. Class 442 units, the main reservoir is normally maintained at pressure between 100 and 115. So let's have a look at what we're getting on this. So they're in bar. So it'd be 5 bar, yep. 6.8 and 7.8 bar. So mine's a little bit low, my main res. A brake pipe pressure gauge and main reservoir gauge in class 442 is provided in each guard's compartment. A duplex air pressure gauge is provided in each driving cab. It's 2 needles, one showing the pressure and the main reservoir pipe, and the other the brake pressure pipe. So MR, main reservoir, BC, brake cylinder. Okay, and you've also got a... so that, in theory, should be brake pipe pressure, this side, and that should be the brake reservoir, brake cylinder pressure. So air pipe connections, you've got the coupling heads of the air pressure, and these are coloured as follows. You've got brake pipe, which is red, and main reservoir, which is yellow. Air pipes at buffer bin level on class 442 and locomotive 73109 have separate angle cocks, the same colour as the coupler head. Let me just remute this again. High-level air brake pipes have a dual cock handle, painted red, applicable to both pipes. When the handle is in the horizontal position, both valves are closed, and when it's in the vertical position, valves are open. The brake and main reservoir pipes must always be opened after connecting the air brake pipes and always closed before separation. Air pipes must be uncoupled by hand. When not coupled, they must be secured, stowed, or equipment is provided for this purpose. So some units, I don't think all units pretty much have mounting points for them. If you look, they haven't done it on this. It should be tucked in there, but they've actually quite annoyingly made the electric jumper cables and the brake pipes hang out the front, which means that even if we wanted to put a cover on these to make them look like as new, you can't, which is quite irritating, really. Go through the test process. So, running brake tests. This is something that I never really tend to do. If I do, it's a mistake. But as you all know, real drivers in real life have to do running brake tests. Why are you not giving me... I've got a bit of a gradient. Fair enough, I'll give you that. That looked yellow, just gone to green there. A driver must test the automatic air brake is operative by carrying out a running brake test in the first opportunity before approaching the first stopping place, a crossing place or single line where the train has to stop, a steep falling gradient, a terminus or dead end bay. When running a brake test is made, these circumstances, the driver must check the train reduces its speed. On trains equipped with electropneumatic brakes, the test must be made with the automatic air brake. But if the driver has not used the electropneumatic brake at this point, the journey must also be tested. So basically, all you have to do is shut off power and put the brake on. Look for a drop of between 5 and 10 miles an hour, and see that it's satisfactory to the limit that you've put the brake on to. We're actually slowing down anyway, which is quite handy there, because I hadn't noticed that 50 then 25 limit. Something I always thought with braking was that, and I think it was from watching the 3-step brake videos years ago, was that a good driver put the brake in a position and knew where it'd stop, and he didn't have to mess about with the brake too much. In the cabs I've been in, that tends to not to be the case. In fact, I was actively told to fiddle with the brake as much as I want. In the 37, I was told literally, and I was watching the driver do it, and he was on and off that brake constantly. Now, it might be different from EMUs, it probably is different for EMUs, but he was constantly on and off that brake. So it makes me feel better. What you all know about. This bit's for Chris. It is titled Route Indicators with Red Panels. I got moaned at in one of my last videos, I think on stream actually it was, that I hadn't set, I think it was by Spud or SWR Driver, one of the two of them. I was in the 205 and I moved the 205 without red in the back. So, route indicators with red panels. The rulebook section H, X11, headlights and taillights, etc., is modified for stock equipped with red route indicator panels and for which an automatic standby battery supply is available. Preparing the train for service. When preparing the train for service, the driver or person carrying out the preparation duties must ensure that the route indicator at the rear of the train exhibits a red panel and that they are illuminated. So the reason for that is that it sounds like an old rule to me, but probably still stands completely correct. If you saw a EMU going with white panels at the end or whatever they put in the intermediates, we'll get to that bit in a minute, it would mean that the train is split somewhere. So if you didn't see that red marker, same as the red tail light, if you didn't see that red, it'd mean the train had split. Same as wagons on loads, freight loads, same things. Without that tail light, you don't know that was the end of the train. So it's the same as a tail light, realistically. Back up to 85, then to 70. Should I increase? Should I not? Stroll at this speed, I reckon. Duties of guards, shunters, or competent person if DOO. Guards and shunters or competent person if DOO are responsible for ensuring that the red panels are illuminated at the rear of the trains before the start of each journey. Dividing trains in service. Before carrying out the brake continuity test on the front portion of the train, the guard or shunters or competent person must operate the indicator and switch on the indicator lights at the rear front portion so that the red panels are exhibited and illuminated. Joining up in service. When two trains are joined up in service, the route indicator on the rear vehicle of the front portion must remain illuminated until the rear portion has stopped. The guard of the front portion or shunter or competent person or a guard is not provided or does not remain in attendance, must then operate the indicator so that white panels are exhibited and switch off the indicator lights. So there you go. Intermediate cabs. Red panels must not be exhibited on the indicators of intermediate cabs of trains. The termination of a journey. If a train is to perform a return service, the driver must alter the route indicator so that the red panels are exhibited and illuminated. There you go. Failure of indicator or red panels on roller blinds. Should one lamp in the route indicator panel at the rear of a train or locomotive fail, leaving the remainder alight, no special action is necessary. The defect must, however, be reported to the appropriate Gemini controller to enable it to be remedied at the earliest opportunity. So Gemini, for those of you that haven't seen the video that used to kick about on YouTube, I don't think it's on there anymore, it might be. Gemini is how they arranged their maintenance on South West trains. I think it was just when they took over from privatisation from South West trains. If more than one lamp in the route indicator panel at the rear of the train or locomotive for any reason when they should be illuminated, or if one or both of the side panels cannot be exhibited, the guard must attach a lighted lamp displaying a red aspect. Let's knock off this 3 mile an hour. Stick it back into series. At the rear of the train until the defect is remedied, and it must be reported to the appropriate Gemini controller at the earliest opportunity. The driver must ensure that similar arrangements are made in the case of locomotives. It's funny, they use the word berthing. Berthing of trains. Instead of stabling. It's quite odd. Up to 85 anyway. Appendix C, Class 100 DMMUs, 101 to 128 diesel multiple unit trains. I love the fact that this was still included in 1998. Doesn't really say much about them, to be honest with you. I never knew that. An overheated fluid coupling. The fluid coupling contains SFR hydraulic fluid D46, which if overheated may emit a dangerous vapour. Everybody must avoid inhaling or coming into contact with this vapour and keep well away from until the unit has cooled. Well, that applies to detraining passengers. I love the way that the biggest things in train manuals are assistance procedures and fault finding. Always. paddling up procedure, we've all seen that. Damaged shoe gear, tying it off. Shoe fuse changing. So the emergency bypass switch. So this basically breaks the interlock. Oh, where is it on this? Back wall? I thought this would have been done on a flag system, the EBS on this, but maybe not. I'll have to look it up. The train must not enter service with the emergency bypass switch operated. If the EBS is operated in service, the driver must advise the controlling signal immediately, stopping especially if necessary. The driver must advise the guard where provided so that passengers can be kept informed. The train must be terminated at the first station where sufficient platform length exists to accommodate the whole train. So it's just basically saying you've got to kick everybody off. To enable the brake to be released, the following conditions must apply to the cab where the EBS is to be operated. ADOS MCB set, brake control MCB set, drum switch in the correct position, 455s only, DST depressed, master switch is at forward or reverse, main reservoirs above 6 bar, emergency brake button is not depressed, 159 only, train control MCB is set, 159 only, compressor speed up switch is at off, 159 only. So 159s are quite a special. So what's different with the 159? When the EBS is operated in a class 159, special work instructions apply. In summary, these are: the guard or other competent person must ride in the rearmost vehicle of the train. The driver must then ensure that regular contact is made with the guard competent person to confirm that the train is complete. It's a pretty long signalling section ahead of me, but it's downhill, so I want to knock a bit of speed off if that is going to be, yeah, single yellow. When working over single line or over lines worked under absolute block regulation, the train must be checked at the end of each section to ensure the train is complete. If the train is operated under DOO condition, regular checks is practical to ensure the train is complete, and there's additional other checks required above. If the trains become accidentally divided, in the provision of rulebook section M must be applied. You'd be really gutted if you had to pull up your EBS and then the train split. What the emergency bypass switch does is exactly what it says. It bypasses all the interlocks and safety systems within the train to mean you can take power regardless. It'll stop. So it meant if the train split, it wouldn't knock out the brakes. It's a very, 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 very much a last resort thing. Same with the traction interlock switch, that just knocks out the traction interlock basically. It means that you don't have to have the doors closed to pull off. These are just very quick summaries, if I'm honest with you. That's yellow. Maybe even green. Right, track circuit actuator switch, or the TCA. 442s have TCAs, do they? Pitch isolation, normal isolation, standing, ETH, door lock. So reset, no. They might do, it might be heavy enough not to have it, to be fair. So, a train must not enter service with a TCA isolated on any vehicle, nor must the train enter service with a maintenance depot with its switches unsealed. What the TCA does is, it is a bar, basically, that goes across and creates electrical continuity, even adds a little bit of its own electrical current to say, I'm here. Trains use, well, not so much anymore, a lot of trains were using axle counters. But the general rule was that they used track circuit signalling, which meant that when a train went onto a certain section of track, a current was complete. So therefore, they knew that it was occupied. It was meant as a fail-safe system. It works. It works. Some modern units, especially 158s and 159s, had issue with this. Some of the other newer stock did that had disc braking. The issue really was that the wheels were getting covered in crud. So leaf fall, mulch, all that sort of stuff. And that was creating a film between the wheel and the rail, which meant that it wasn't actually creating track circuits. So if you look back, you'll see in the early 90s, you quite often had for a while 156s with 158s, one of each driving car. These were because 156s had tread brakes still, so they were clean, even though they still have track circuit actuators as well, because they're quite light. They were scrubbing the wheels down, so it was better than what they had at the time. Then track circuit actuators were fitted to a lot of stock. Nowadays, I'm not sure. I'm sure everything just probably has a track circuit actuator. The way the axle counter system and things like that work for me is just something I haven't had the chance to look into too much, really, if I'm honest. Ooh, I've even got a dangerous goods handbook. Definition of dangerous goods: any explosive, radioactive material, other goods with hazardous properties as listed in the Rail Track Working Manual for Rail Staff, Section 3, pink pages. This will include flammable and non-flammable gases, toxic and non-toxic gases, flammable liquids and solids, substances liable to spontaneously combust, substances which give off flammable gases when wet, oxidizing substances, organic peroxides, poisonous substances, infectious substances, corrosives. A lot of things then, basically. The railways hauled some really nasty stuff. Some really, really nasty stuff. There were certain trains that had to take basically antidotes in little bags in the cabs with them and in the guards compartment in case of spillages. You were meant to inject whatever this was, but it wasn't. It was actually for ambulance staff only to do. Chances are you wouldn't have made it. You'd have died anyway before they would have got you to do anything. And that was a big risk. I think BR got paid a little bit. I think as a driver or a guard, you got paid a little bit more danger money for taking those trains as well. I remember reading about it on the one of the British Rail Facebook groups. An incident or emergency which may affect safe conveyance and contaminant of dangerous goods, including fires on locomotives, hauling or wagons containing dangerous goods, leakages, spillages, or other escapes. However slight, collisions, derailments, other mishaps involving dangerous goods, wagons or container defects, hot axle box detection, dragging brakes, etc., which create a risk of fire, explosion or leakage, damage to Red Star parcels containing dangerous goods resulting in leakage, spillage or contact. So NIREP, which is Nuclear Industry Road Rail Emergency Plan, assistance provided by specialist advisors and emergency response units to a major radiological hazards resulting from incidents on the rail network. So remember, we still do convey spent nuclear fuel and others by rail in this country. I'll be honest with you, it's much safer than road. Lots of you will have seen the very famous Class 45 hitting one of the nuclear flasks. I think that was the old Dalby, wasn't it? Video. It has been used 1 billion times, 1,000,000,001 times, and shows you how safe they actually are. There is also newer flasks around. There's ones that carry submarine fuel and all sorts, big blue and grey things. Can't remember their wagon code, but they're nice to look at. Certain types of dangerous goods may be accepted by parcel points subject to approval and authorisation by the relevant train operating for conveyance on passenger trains, providing all the mandatory loading and conveyance requirements can be complied with. This may include detonators, so fog signals, railway fog signals. So what these are, there would be a packet in this cab anyway, a tube of them. They are put down the track and they detonate as a train goes over them to alert following trains that the train in front stopped. Vice versa, was used back in the day for signals in the fog. Solid carbon dioxide or dry ice, low emission radioactive substances, so X-ray plates, etc. Parcel point personnel are responsible for ensuring that such goods are accepted in accordance with the required legislation and regulations and are packaged, labelled and loaded in accordance with instructions contained within the Rail Track Working Manual for Rail Safety Guidelines, pink pages, and that suitable advice is given to staff and guard accordingly. Loading and conveyance except radioactive substances. That's a separate one. Dangerous goods will not be conveyed by South West Trains passenger trains unless specifically authorised by SWT safety standards and special arrangements made. Guards must ensure that the following requirements for the loading and conveying of dangerous goods for the passenger trains are adhered to. So, dangerous goods should be kept away from packages containing foodstuffs, sources of heat and other dangerous goods. In addition, containers of solid carbon dioxide should be also away from livestock, adequately ventilated, in a number not exceeding 12 separate packages loaded in one brake van. How did they work that out? No more than 12. 12 and 16 and 8 seem to be favourite railway numbers. I know it's probably because this has probably been worked out properly, but it does always seem that way. You can't run trains in multiple of more than 12 or 16 coaches when not in service. There's 12 and 16 and 8 seem to be brilliant railway numbers. Oh, explosives, that's quite cool. So you can, the different warnings you get are explosives, flammable gases, non-flammable toxic gases, toxic gas, flammable liquids, flammable solids, substances liable to spontaneously combust, substances which give off flammable gases when wet, oxidizing substances, organic peroxides, toxic substances, infection substances, Category 1 radiation, Category 2 radiation, Category 3 radiation. That could just be normal. And any category by freight train radiation level. Yeah, that is. I thought that was going to be like that. That's really it for the interesting bits in that manual. The only other ones are like hand signals and obscure radio stuff. Some of that might be quite interesting. Probably for a different video though. We're 13 miles away anyway. So I hope you enjoyed that little read through there. I really enjoy them. I really enjoy manuals. It is my super geek bit. I like an instruction manual for most things. Something really geeky is I used to really enjoy VCR manuals. So you used to get things that had LCD screens that just couldn't fit enough info on and had like 3 buttons. So you had to work all the different key combinations to make it do what it did. Loved it. Hated it at the same time. Which looks green. I want a screenshot here. This is a lovely bit. Any of you that will know Thomas the Tank and grew up watching Thomas the Tank, you may have seen the episode that was about Henry's Forest. I had it in a video when I was very young. And this bit of this route always reminds me of Henry's Forest. Let's let you pull forward a little bit there. Let's see, pull forward a bit. There. And that's what this bit reminds me of. I can't even really remember the story. It didn't get really sad because they were demolishing it or something. Something I really liked about the 442s as well was this sort of upsweep on the buffers. I thought it was a very cool design feature. And see that air dam underneath. That sort of very 80s wedge. But looks really cool. Looks much better on in NSE livery. This whole thing of painting them black, as much as I can see the practicalities of it, I much prefer them in white. Same as the 91s. I prefer them with white skirts, which it looks like they're getting at the moment, if I'm honest with you. They all seem to be getting a white skirt. Or air dam. Or splitter. Just like in most things in the railways, there are plenty of terms for the same thing. dead down this end of the route, isn't it? I can see where they've tried to liven it up by adding like some animals and some trackside stuff in. But the track, just tell you what it's missing for me: trackside trunking. A little bit of debris. Some drainage. Saying that, it might actually be completely obscured by this foliage at the side here. Actually, speaking to Geordie of MKS fame on my stream the other night, I was very lucky to be able to interview both Richard Armstrong and Geordie from MKS and Armstrong Powerhouse, respectively. He was showing us a little something he's been working on with textures, and ground textures especially, to stop this very clear ballast line, I suppose, that's in Train Sim. It made it look a lot more, it was just more realistic and dynamic, I think, as well, and also moving trees and moving grass, which was really cool. Really, really cool. And actually, I found it quite funny because a lot of people have said to me, "Oh, take a look at TRS 19, which is the new version of trains." And I'm going, "Okay, it's never really been my thing, but what do you think's what makes it better?" And people go, "Oh, it's got moving grass." Oh, what? It's got moving grass. Okay. Now I like a little thing, and a little thing does make me happy, and seeing that in this would be nice. Do I think that that makes TRS 19 remotely usable in my eyes? No. It has no real impact on my view of it whatsoever. I don't know if I trust that. But yes, it looks very nice. And like I said to Geordie, the only time you're really going to see it is when you stand still. How often are you still in Train Sim? Not very. Yeah, see. It's a bit like Joe the Fish. Joe Badge is doing really good work, and Speedy Pete as well. Really beautiful, stunning work on overhead line detailing at the minute. And as much as I love that, I also just think, actually, if you'd never shown me it was that nice, I probably wouldn't have realised it was that nice. And that's what I love about the freeware community, is people pick the thing that they're interested in, and that's what they go and do. And they do it really well. And yeah, the more of that, the better. The more of that, the better. Right, what am I waiting here for? Let's have a little look. It shouldn't be a broken scenario. It definitely won't be a broken scenario, because lots of people have done it and it worked. Guessing I'm waiting for you to get out of the way. Portsmouth over to Waterloo. What are you waiting on? Nothing. That's you leaving now. .450 and 444 mix. Nice. Oh, I'm actually... No, I'm not stopping it, haven't, am I? Oh, God, didn't see that. By the time I get down, I'm going to be getting up to 70 anyway. There's the milk float. It was always a strange little addition, wasn't it, to the PDL when they put that milk float thing in. It was back when I suppose DTG was RSC back then. Same people anyway. Had a little bit more humour in them, I suppose. So 2.5 miles left of this journey. I've really enjoyed it. It's nice to get this out. It's nice to get a 442 out and stretch its legs. I mean, a lot of the scenarios we've had recently have been sort of Gatwick Airport and back, and you get a little burst, and they're nice little scenarios, don't get me wrong, but this just sort of... It's been fun to do. I'm kind of sad that this is ending. It'd be nice one day to be able to take this actually all the way to Poole, wouldn't it? Or Pooh. Oh. All right, and guys, thank you ever so much. That was a fantastic scenario. I really enjoyed that. Nothing too outrageous about it, just nice. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Head on over to the Facebook page and join that if you haven't already. And join me on Twitch on Sunday evenings and Wednesday evenings. Also, keep an ear to the ground for AlanThompsonSim.com, which hopefully should be launching within the next couple of weeks, with a lot of very cool content on there. Once again, guys, thanks ever so much, and I'll catch you next time.